Okay, so they told me to make a record of things that I'm taking. I'm not taking any valuables, but that's what they suggested. But anyway, this is my outfit that I'm going to travel in. Uh, Jeans and a white jacket and a white shirt. I'm taking this bright, uh, terracotta shorts with an option of a muscle shirt for showing off my whatever, and then the tie dye T-shirt in the back. Uh, these brown shorts are new, as is this shirt. That's going to go great with it. And also, in these shorts have trimming, so it's going to work great with either this shirt or this one or whatever. And of course, that's a lot of daytime stuff. And then, so I'm taking a pair of khakis in case for some reason I need to feel just a moderately, a little bit something above swimwear or deckwear in the dining room. Figure between this one and a pair of blue jeans, I should be able to get at least a week's worth of wear out of the two of them without having to, I'll use cologne and stuff. I shouldn't, they shouldn't stink too bad after a week. And then, let's see, kind of a nautical themed t-shirt. And I'm taking a pullover. So if it's a little chilly, I don't know. Sometimes the weather is like, sometimes it's warm or sometimes it's chilly for me because I'm very weather sensitive. These are shorts, just something else I can lounge around in. Shorts with an open shirt, button down but open and stuff like that for the deck. And these would be good for lounging around on the deck also, or sleeping. And then I brought a lot of sleepwear. I'm taking two sweaters, one lighter sweater and one heavier cardigan. One green and one this wine color. And, I should be set for about a week, a week's worth of clothes with a couple of different options to mix it up. And then I bought some shoes that I can wear on the deck, shower slippers or whatever, and then I'm taking some really some some shoes for walking around in, and then something that'll look a little bit nicer if I need to, for shows and dinner and stuff like that. But I'm not doing anything too dressy on this. The whole idea, it's a cruise, and I'm going to relax. So if you see this between now and I don't know 3 in the morning or something. If you're noticing this and you see some suggestions, I'm taking plenty of underwear, plenty of socks, plenty of sunscreen, and for me, these little swim trunks, they'll fit me, but they're a little bit shorter than I'd want them to be. But that's what I have. I don't know what I was thinking when I bought them. I was like, oh, let me show off my booty or something. I don't know. But honestly, to be honest with you, it's out in the Caribbean. If I could wear a thong and lotion up and lay all up over it, I would. But I'm not, because for the sun and the tan lines and everything like that. Yeah. Hey, I used to bum around South Beach. Here's the story behind South Beach for me in Florida. I went to I guess around the millennium, like it was sometime in 2000, must have been, I don't know, but anyways, around that time that I visited once. It's in the early days of America Online. Y'all remember that? Some of y'all, most of y'all weren't born for this, uh, but some of y'all will remember. Okay, so I met a guy, Dan, online in a back then. It wasn't Facebook where you spoke with everybody or something like that. Everything was like it was in the America Online, and their chat rooms were subcategorized. So you could be like, okay, this is my interest. This is what, and I'm like, you know what? I was still a big dater back then. So I'm like, it'd be nice to meet somebody. So, and I met this person and we chatted for several months. And he invited me to come visit him in uh, Miami. And I'm like, yay. And so he bought the airline tickets. He paid for it. I was like, at this time I was finishing up the theater that I'm doing. I'm kind of getting to the end of the run of my theater, but I've been doing theater for a couple of years by this point, and like looking for something else. But anyway, I was like, and he was all like, there's a big place and stuff. You never know what you'll fall into out there. Anyway, turns out when I did go out there, I fell in love. Not with him, but with Miami beaches. And so I went. I spent a weekend with him. He didn't tell me. He bought the tickets and everything like that, and then he told me. He said, "When you get here, don't be alarmed. I have my former boyfriend is now my roommate, but don't. That's okay. When we get out there, or I get out there, and it turns out that the former boyfriend that he's living with is not over him. It wasn't like we used to date and now we're roommates. It's like, he was over it, but the roommate was not. And so I just kind of felt like I was into something that I'm not in the middle of. I don't do thruples or anything like that. Not, I wasn't feeling it, right? So, I stayed for the weekend. Stayed platonic. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, I'm not up for sale. And if I were, it would take more than an airline ticket, what it takes to purchase my love, all of it, is it takes your love. You have to give me your love and all of it. And then you can have my love and all of it. That's just how I am, and, I don't step out on that, whatever, at this point I was like, in my late 20s. So I was already over all the mostly over I was certainly a lot more selective, with who I choose to run around and spend my time with. But I went and I was like, I know we connected online, but this isn't going to work. His name was Dan. The great guy, great looking guy too, and everything like that. Just everything you could think of, like the whole, like blonde haired beach dude, everything. But he came with the baggage, and it's like, if you really were, if this really were over, then the roommate that used to be your partner, he would be your roommate. He wouldn't be clinging on like a wife, So that didn't work out. I was like, listen, I would give this a shot but the fact is, he's not down for it, and it's not over. If it's not over for both of you, and you're enduring that it's not over for both of you, that it's not over for him, if you're still enduring that, then it's not over for you also. So, and whatever. So, but long story short, I came back, but then I was leaving the theater, decided to go down to New Orleans. I kind of couch surfed around Shreveport for a while, spent some time on my sister's couch. But it's like with family, you love family, but after a while, it's like you almost forget that you're a guest in the home. And I really kind of was, and I was sort of the nanny of the children, and everything. But it was like that wasn't something that I wanted to get out and have fun. I didn't want the life of, wow, I'm never really going to be able to leave this house, because it's like I take care of children and then the people come home, but there's not really a lot of money for me to go out and do anything in the evening, because it was just, we're not people of means or whatever. And so it wasn't going to work out uh, indefinitely. But yeah. And I don't know, one day, and then I found myself a cousin that I loved very much. And she and her husband or whatever, had a lot of people coming in and out of their house and stuff like that. And there are always children around and everything like that. And they were like, hey, you can come over and you can take care of some of the children, some of their in-laws and stuff like that, like whatever, like, they're not here all the time, but during the daytime when they're around and stuff like that, you're really good with children. Why don't you, come over and be a part of that and everything like that? And we're very, we always had these things in my family that it would be a really, really good idea to get together and spend time and this and that and that. But, after a while, it kind of gets old and it's like, okay, well, and I'm like, well, I've spent time being an artist at this time, in various different ways. But I really didn't have like a tremendous, I don't know, like yeah, it just, after a while you kind of want to find your own way and your own means and everything like that. And I was still kind of discovering things, and boy, uh, were we all a little bit crazy back then. But anyway. And here's the crazy, because I went down to New Orleans and worked in New Orleans for a couple of years, from 98 until just after 2000, I think. And then, yeah, had all sorts of misadventures there, but remembered Miami and remembered what I loved about Miami. I was in Dan's apartment the night that I was, and then the morning that I was to go home. And I stayed up that whole night just looking out the bay window, and I watched the sunrise over the water from his high rise. I could see, it was in Morningside. It was an area of town called Morningside, and boy, was it. And I watched the sunrise. And I'd never seen the sunrise over the water before. And I knew that I was so sad to be leaving. My heart was breaking for that beautiful, wonderful moment, that I was having. But I knew that when I got back home, I would never have it again. And so, cut to 2000, I decided, you know what? I am a free spirit, and I've got this money saved up, and no real ties here in New Orleans, even though I love New Orleans. But that's yeah. I just, why not go see what's going on in Miami, and why not go see what's going on? You just go there and check it out. If it doesn't work out, you can always come back. And literally, in a moment, like I'm here and I'm working at a restaurant called Delmonico's, very historic restaurant. Started its franchise in New Orleans, and in New York actually, and they invented the cut of the Delmonico, which is basically just a fillet cut from a different angle, and a little bit thicker cut of a Delmonico. And sometimes they're like, they'll often butterfly it, and I'm like, why? But you go through this trouble of having this wonderful steak, only to have you butterfly it and turn it into like a thin, filet fritter or something. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, never mind. Let me not digress too much. I went to, in a moment's notice, I decided to go. So Delmonico's, and Emerald had the restaurant back then. Emerald Lagasse. So he had, so it's one of his restaurants, but it didn't start out being one of his restaurants. See. But it was very historic. But it was a beautiful, lovely 4-star experience on this restaurant. So close to being a 5-star restaurant. Not by Google or anything like that, because we didn't have that back then. but the food critic, I mean, it was just up there, and very posh and everything like that. I was very proud of it and everything. But behind the scenes, it was just drama central, like people just, barking abusively at each other, and just all this high tension in the back, and it's like, oh my God, this is bullshit. I have worked in a lot of restaurants in New Orleans by this point, and wow, all this. Uh, what's that one guy, Hell's Kitchen, that guy, Chef Ramsay or something, Gordon Ramsay or what? There is no sense in carrying on and acting like that in a restaurant, and the only thing that we're really doing is creating delicious food for people and serving people. But it should be, yeah. If you have to be like batshit crazy like that, then what? Then you are uh, ill prepared. If you're constantly in the weeds, as the saying goes, that means that you're way behind, and you have the expediter barking, and it's like, no, if I wanted this, I would have stayed in the damn military. It's a restaurant, it's not the military. uh, if I ever were a restaurant proprietor, I would really work towards, I would work in the space that I have, which means the kitchen and all that, and that all behind the scenes would take up at least half of the business, you know. And I'd want people to have room to move around, and I'd want there to be, quick service, but preparation and everything like that. But this, yeah, it would be, uh, it would be at ease. It would be relaxed, and it would be not stress inducing for the people that worked. That's the one thing I didn't like about restaurants, because it's a lot of times, people will say, well, a lot of waiting is waiting. Not at this restaurant. 3 people per table: a captain, a front waiter, and a back waiter, and then this team of people would probably have about 8 tables, 6 to 8 tables that he was taking care of, and it would turn over twice within a shift at night at least. And you know um, it's just it wasn't worth the stress, so I didn't mind leaving that job. It was kind of it could have potentially been a high profile job. I got you know opportunities to be extras when they were doing like the occasional television spot. Emerald would do specials, like a Good Morning America, this or that or whatever. But so I could have gotten my face on TV a little more. I'm a very narcissistic person. I want my face on TV. Not now. I look like hell, but I'll show you. Holy shit! Yeah. So, yeah. So, so I decided in a split moment, to go to Miami. So, and I took a Greyhound, took a bus. So, I love to travel by Greyhound. If you want to fly, you really, to save money during this time, we didn't have Spirit or anything like that. And I wouldn't take those planes anyway. They break apart in the sky. It's like driving like a a 30-year-old Chevy, on an interstate and trying to speed. You'd have concerns about taking a car that old on a very long trip, and so I would have concerns about a 30-year-old aircraft in the sky. Nope. So yeah, I took a bus. Got off. The bus driver dropped us off in the middle of the night. He would not take us to the main station, which was in Overtown. He took us to another stop in Miami, Dade, and it was in Miami. And he said, well, if I take you to the other one, it's going to be right in the middle of a very dangerous neighborhood. I'm not taking you there. You don't need to go there. So, all right. So, yeah, got off, spent one night in a nearby motel overnight, and then the next day I went to the beach, and that was wonderful. It turned out to be a Halloween night, or October the 30th or something like that, whatever. But they were doing a drum circle. So I saw my very first drum circle. And that experience became the basis for my short story that's going to be included in my upcoming book that I'm going to complete while I'm on this cruise, and then come back and finish the drafts of anything that's new that I decide to include, by the way. But that short story that really is kind of an allegory, or a fable, a modern fable, is inspired by that experience, and it's the drum at the drum circle. And it's because these people sitting around with their drums and everything, and there was one dude running around with a little tiny bell on a stick, and he would cling it, clink, clink, clink. And every time he did, people would look at him like, what the hell are you doing? This is a drum circle. As if he were like, yeah, they didn't really, he was just trying to find his place. And he was a cool looking dude and everything like that and everything. And he had like a little clique with him. It wasn't like in my story, he was like totally alone, but they did like, well, you're not in our rhythm. Get the hell away. This is a drum, rhythm and stuff like that. And so I felt kind of bad for him, but that was kind of like, oh wow. It's the story of a person who's somewhat original or standoutish or different from everybody else, and how that difference can be annoying to people who are somewhat in a uniformity, but it's our uniqueness that can draw attention, good or bad, but it's that's in the eye of the beholder. So yeah, if you need to, ding your bell, even if everybody else is drumming, and what you have is a bell, ding your bell, man. Do you, do what you do, and that's sort of what that story is about. But yeah, I was there and I had that experience. And then I was like, I'll go there, check it out. And if it works out, great. And if it doesn't, I can always come back. Well, it turned out I lived there for about 2.5 years, going on 3 years, in Miami-Dade, in a little town called Homestead, and a part of me still lives there, to be honest with you. Anyway, I'm excited for this trip. A lot of these are wrinkled. I'm actually going to take them off the hangers, and I'm going to fluff them in my dryer for a little bit, see if I can't knock out some of these wrinkles. I don't really want to iron them or anything else. I'm not that disciplined. But yeah, no discipline for ironing at all. When I was in school, middle school or whatever, the look was grunge, but they didn't have the term grunge. This was the 80s. Grunge was, something that came out. It's a edgy word that meant somewhat unkempt, so it's like, long hair, clothes that were unironed, unwashed jeans, that kind of stuff, But my sister, on the other hand, ironed everything. Her collars were always like starched and stiff and everything like that. Yeah, she put a lot. We were just, we had different experiences. She was about 3 years older than I was, in a different peer group at school. So yeah, that was so cool. Later on, after high school, I got into cosmetology, and I really got into how I looked. But that was because I could afford to have my clothes dry cleaned. I even worked in a few dry cleaners over the years. And then at one point, I worked for a family and taking care of the older lady, and then being kind of like, kind of the estate manager or whatever for a guy. And then, of course, the ladies he had working for them, they did the cleaning, and they would take care of the laundry and everything. So that was kind of cool. Until Marion, brought in Marion, and Marion was this Jamaican housekeeper, but she came in on like gangbusters and just kind of like took over everything. And after a while, it was like, I see that you're in good hands. Your mom's in good hands. You're in good hands. Marion is doing everything, and I'm tired of being chased around and having to run away from someone who has me around, basically, to treat me like some sort of trophy. And I could never be that kind of intimate. I could never be what he would want me to be. So I was like, I'm done with that, after, long whole other story. I've told these various stories before, but I'm so excited for this trip. Okay. Love and light, and Godspeed. If I don't post too many videos after this for the next week, when I do come home, I will be posting videos that I have taken while on this cruise, because it's going to be the first time I've ever taken a cruise, and literally the first time I will have ever been outside of the United States, the continental United States. Who was a comedian? He always made fun of the word continental. He said it was a funny sounding word, continental, whatever. Anyway, love you guys. Ciao, Bella.